This website is known as cityquiz.io. The concept is pretty simple. Name cities. This map specifically, the challenge is to name as many Canadian cities as possible. For the past couple of years, I've tested to see how many US cities I can do in a year, so I decided to do a little spin-off in a different country and give myself a smaller time frame since, I know far fewer cities in Canada and there's just less cities in Canada in general. In fact, the total number of this quiz is less than what I know in the US, so yeah. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the most proud of this run. I missed some ones that I think are pretty obvious in hindsight, like Timmins. How can I miss Timmins, man? Now, between runs, one of my goals would be to learn all the cities in Canada with over 100,000 people, and you'll see later if I succeeded or not. Now you can see this wasn't even my best run on my profile, and at the time it was my third best run overall. So, yeah, not great. So yeah, here's the completed map for the first run. I named 218 cities, which isn't terrible, but also, again, wasn't my best. Now both map links will be available in the description if you want to check them out and see exactly what I was able to name. And here's how many I was able to name in each province and territory. As you can see, Ontario's in the lead, makes sense, they got a lot of big populated cities, so they kind of stick out in my brain more. And then British Columbia and Alberta makes sense, more out west. I made this map to visualize that as well. I also mapped out the percent so I could see how I did well relatively, because some provinces do not have a lot of cities to name. For example, the Yukon has 9, and Nova Scotia also has surprisingly few. Anyways, let's move on to the second run. I'll admit, I didn't try as hard as I could have on the first run because it'll make the improvement look that much better. I also decided I wanted to commit to learning as many cities as possible in one of the more populated provinces, and what better province to do that than the one I temporarily called home? I mean, it was like 6 months. That's like enough to classify legally living there, Now for this challenge, I'd usually spend a little bit of time each day and focus on one province, and you can definitely tell I spent more time on some provinces than others. Now, something I should mention is there are quite a few places in Canada that don't register on the quiz for whatever reason. So if you think I might have missed something obvious, it might just not be on the quiz. The largest I can think of is Tadoussac in Quebec, but some other notable places like Dildo, Newfoundland, also don't count, which is pretty unfortunate. Also, there are some places that kind of glitched. I don't know how to put it. There's a few, double places on the quiz. They're the same place in the list twice. It's not like something where it's like, oh, there happens to be, 2 Portages La Prairies in Manitoba. It's just one. But it's, inputted twice, I think? I don't know. It's the circle overlaps, too, so, I don't know what's going on. I didn't type any of those in, and I didn't count them in the final totals either, because, that's not a new city. Now, Northwest Territories and Nunavut don't have too many places, but I didn't try to commit to learning too many of them because the spellings for a lot of them are like really difficult for my European language brain to remember. Now, sure, I could have devoted a fraction of the time that I committed to memorizing every place in Alberta to memorizing all 13 places in PEI, but like, Now, usually you don't have to type punctuation in these quizzes, like hyphens or apostrophes, but the exception I found is Saint Louis du AA, which you have to type the exclamation points, and there's not just one, but there are two. Unfortunately, I did not reach my goal of memorizing every 100k city. I missed Whitby, Ontario, so sorry if you're from there, but your city is very unmemorable. And here's the completed second run. Overall, I was able to name 603 cities. I did remember a few off camera.
So to answer the question in the title, I learned 385 cities.
And let's look at the totals here. You can see that there was, a massive improvement in Alberta. Wow, who'd have thunk? Once again, we can see the totals. Shouldn't be too many surprises here, as well as the percentages. PEI and Nova Scotia having surprisingly high percentages, considering I did not put that much effort into them. And Quebec barely moved because it has the most places on the quiz out of any province, so... I also kept track of the total difference between them and the percentage difference between the runs. No surprise that Alberta is first in both. Then second in terms of overall new cities is Ontario, but in terms of percentages, Yukon, even though I only learned 4. And none of it, I'd say, was the least improved because I only learned 1. But hey, I didn't get worse at any of them. But yeah, thanks for watching. Once again, the map runs are linked in the description. Also, do all the YouTube stuff like liking and subscribing and commenting, I might do this for some more countries or continents, so let me know if you'd be interested in that and where I should try to memorize places in next.